A bit of an aside here, I found a neat little spot tucked away in an unlikely place, Luton, England, the Vauxhall Heritage Center. Think of it like the GM Heritage Center back in Michigan, but on a much smaller scale. And what it has is all of Vauxhall's greatest hits. Let's start with some of the early stuff. 1911 C-Type. My guess is that name came before Jaguar took it. The Prince Henry is named after the guy who sponsored the development of the car. He was some sort of prince in Prussia. Doesn't that sound like a video game? It's got 22 horsepower, and they call this the first sports car of England. That's because it sits so much lower than most other cars of its day. One of the more interesting cars in their collection is also its most fuel efficient, 38 mpg. But it's not powered by hydrogen, it's not a funky show car, and it's not a hybrid. In fact, it was built in 1903. The story doesn't end with the MPG. It's actually the oldest four-seat Vauxhall in existence today, and they even have the sales records proving the first owner got a whopping £12 discount on the original sticker price of £154. Moving on to 1923, the 60 Kington Tourer. This one was kind of like the VXR of its day. It had overhead valves, 4 forward gears, and could go 60 miles an hour. Little history on Vauxhall. When I turned up, I thought there was a Mr. Vauxhall, but it turns out there never was. There was a Mr. Vaux. He lived in South London, and he named his house Vauxhall. Well, over time, people kind of butchered his name or butchered the name of the house, whatever, and now there is a part of South London called Vauxhall. The company was actually not a car company, it was an ironworks company. It only changed when a newfangled technology came out, the horseless carriage. Fast forward to 1993 and we have a car that only looks like a Vauxhall, because technically it's a Lotus. Here's the script. Back in 1990, Opel and Vauxhall began shipping cars from Russelheim, Germany to Hethel, England. So Lotus can kind of tear them apart and rebuild them and make them into 377 horsepower beasts, unheard of at the time in 1990. At the end of the day, they took a very pedestrian sedan and made it into something awesome, the Carlton. Sticking with the Lotus theme, 2004 Vauxhall VX 220 VXR. But what's important about this car, Lotus built the whole car. What was even more interesting, it bested the Elise of its day. The Elise back then either was 120 horse or 160 horse motor. This car, 220 horsepower in a car equivalent in weight to a paper cup. Last and certainly not least, my personal favorite, the 2003 Vauxhall VX Lightening concept car. This one should look familiar because it came to life, not as one, but 2 cars, the Opel GT and the now dearly departed Saturn Sky. Another interesting tidbit about this car, 2 of the designers that worked on the project were American. And one of them, I know for a fact, owned a Vauxhall VX 220. I'll let you guess which color.